You probably never heard of anyone tell you that notes is actually bad for you. This is my unconventional advice that actually fucking works. Note taking just takes way too much effort, and you can actually get really good grades without even taking notes. And actually, I argue you actually get better grades without taking notes. Last semester, I got a 95 average while taking 0 notes. But it wasn't always like this. Around 3 years ago, I used to be a student who literally like fucking transcribed the entire class, bro. I had so much notes. And at that time, what I didn't realize was this concept called cognitive load. So imagine your brain as a small computer, right? A small computer can't really do that many highly demanding tasks at the same time. And it's actually the same thing with your brain. So let's simulate like what happens when you go into class, right? So when you go into class, so like this is your cognitive load, right? What happens in the beginning is you use all of your cognitive load for learning. So you're literally just listening and learning, right? But the thing is, because your cognitive load is small, and because your ability to learn is like, I guess, small because your cognitive load is small, your brain gets scared. Your brain's like, oh shit, I'm not gonna remember everything and I'm gonna forget something. So what happens is your natural instinct is to write things down. And what you do is you start learning, you put less cognitive load towards learning and actually start putting more cognitive load towards writing and taking notes. And then eventually, because you put less into learning, you start forgetting more. And then you start putting less into learning, more into writing, and you start taking more notes because you get scared, and the more scared you get, you take more notes until eventually you're literally not even just listening and you're just transcribing the entire class. So what I realized is that people take notes and transcribe because they're actually scared that they're not going to remember everything. And because they're scared and take notes, they're pretty much signing a contract with themselves saying, oh, I'm not going to learn this right now because I'm going to forget it. So I'm going to take it down and so I can learn it later. And this process literally just doubles your time that you have to spend on school, because now not only do you have to learn, not only just sitting there transcribing the class, and you have to go back onto those notes and then learn again. So you just doubled your fucking time spent. So when I realized this, I actually stopped taking notes. And not only did I spend way less time on school, but I actually learned better because I was completely focused on actually learning during class. Well, I know you might be thinking, even though I'm going to be scared and taking notes is ruining my ability to learn, I'm still going to forget because everyone's cognitive load is small, right? But the thing is, you got to realize your cognitive load is actually just another skill you got to develop. So imagine bicep curling a dumbbell, right? When you curl enough times, your muscle, like your bicep, starts to get sore, right? And you start to get weak and you start not being able to curl the muscle. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a good thing, right? Because when you strain your muscle and when your muscle isn't able to lift the weight anymore, you're actually like scientifically like breaking down muscle fibers, which makes it stronger the next time, right? So the more you strain your bicep, the more it gets stronger. And this is actually the exact same thing when it comes to your brain and cognitive load. When you strain your muscle, like when you let yourself sit with the information. So when, like, let's say the teacher is like talking, like, okay, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4. You're absorbing the information. You're letting the information sit into your brain until eventually when it gets to like, I don't know, 5 plus 5 is 10. You have all these different things in your brain, and your brain's like, oh shit, my cognitive load is like running out. I put so much effort into learning, but I can't even hold it all. And that right there, when you are scared, you're gonna forget. That's pretty much the equivalent to your bicep getting sore. That's where your brain actually starts getting stronger. So the issue with notes is the fact that whenever people like learn a new concept, they just write it down immediately and they try to remove as much strain from their brain as possible. But this actually makes their cognitive load weaker Like, imagine going to the gym and grabbing like 3 pound dumbbell to bicep curl. Like, you're not gonna make any gains. So how do you actually train your cognitive load? The point isn't to just start taking zero notes and go all in cold turkey, right? You actually want to start like progressively deloading how much notes you take. Because think of notes as assisted learning. Does that make sense? The more you take down notes, the more you're telling yourself, saying, oh, I can't learn this right now, so I'm just going to learn it later. Progress comes when you start taking less and less notes. So every single time the teacher teaches you a new concept, let it sit in your brain. And the thing is, you don't even need to be scared about forgetting anything, because you can just ask your classmates. And if all your classmates are fucking brain dead, not even listening, then just fucking ask the teacher. Like, maybe like you don't want to be a nerd, but I'd rather ask and talk to the teacher and like glaze a bit for like maybe a better mark than going home and fucking studying notes for 2 hours every day, right? So pretty much let the information sit in your brain before noting it down, and then progressively deload how much notes you take. But then you might have another problem. See, I used to play games like literally 24/7. And even during fucking class, like while the teacher's yapping, I'd literally still be on my fucking Brawl Stars, right? And when I actually tried to pay attention, I always zoned out, and like I had such a fucked up attention span. So I could never train my skill of cognitive load. So think about focus and cognitive load like a vacuum cleaner, right? When you want to learn something, like for example, okay, when you want to clean something with a vacuum, you first point it at the dirt, which is like focus, and then you like suck it up, and how much storage you have in that vacuum is like how much cognitive load you have, right? You need both focus to actually focus on the dirt for a vacuum, and cognitive load to store all the garbage, right? And it's the same thing when it comes to learning. You need to actually pay attention to the fucking information before you can store it in your brain and fry your cognitive load, right? So if you don't have a good level of skill when it comes to focus, you're never going to be able to pay attention and learn everything the first time. So it leads back to the same problem. You're going to be scared that you're going to forget because you're not even paying attention to class. And you're going to take more notes and start transcribing. And then you're going to waste so much time learning things the second time. So you must level up your skill of focus. And how do you do that? Well, the way I did that is, I think, the same exact way you should do. And it comes down to one problem. You're frying your brain 24/7 with extreme stimulation. I used to like literally play Brawl Stars like 8 or 10 hours a day maybe on the weekends. But even on weekdays, I'd still play so much time, and the amount of time that I fried my brain just fucked up my attention span so much that I couldn't even listen to someone talk. And if you have the exact same problem, the reality is you gotta make some sacrifices. You can't be scrolling 24/7 if you want to actually have a good ability to listen in class and absorb things, right? When you overstimulate your brain, you fry your dopamine receptors. And dopamine is like the molecule for motivation, but it's also for focus. So when you fix your dopamine receptors, you not only fix your motivation, but you also fix your focus. So think about this. Every single time you don't scroll and you don't play games, you're pretty much putting more levels into your focus skill until eventually when you max out your skill. Imagine the time when you actually max out your skill of focus, when you're so fucking hyper focused on anything, you can literally complete it in so little time that everyone would be so like, you know what I mean? Or what the fuck am I saying? Okay, the final thing I want to talk about is if you actually feel like no motivation to listen in class. Now, first of all, if your brain is fucking fried, if you're scrolling 24/7, playing, still addicted to video games, like this section doesn't apply to you because you still got to fix your motivation, right? I fixed my scrolling addiction and my gaming addiction for so long, but yet I still don't have motivation to listen to school because it just feels so pointless. Like, why are we learning about themes in a non-fiction book, or sorry, themes in a fictional book, when we can be learning about how to make money online, which is infinitely more important, right? Like, sure, themes in a fictional book could help me like with speaking skills or some shit, right? But that's so pointless when it compares to what I can actually learn, which is actually important. So around the time, I actually stopped listening in class. And as a result, my grades just dropped like crazy. And then I finally realized something that changed my mind. And it's the fact that we're forced into this game of school. Like, you can drop out of high school, but it just doesn't really fucking make, like, I just get disowned by my parents. Like, I just get like absolutely destroyed, right? For most of us, dropping out of high school isn't an option. Even if you hate it, even if you like everything in your brain tells you not to fucking care about it, you're still forced into it. So you might as well win the game, right? Because at some level, it would still feel pretty nice to walk out of school with like maxed out grades. Even if the system is like completely stupid, it just doesn't make sense. Might as well walk out a winner. So I realized that I had to stop blaming the education system and just start fucking locking in. So pretty much, bro, just start training your cognitive load and focus skills, because when you actually train these skills and actually am able to listen during class and like absorb 99% of information that the teacher yaps about, your grades just shoot out like insane. Like, imagine literally whatever someone says, you like absorb 100% of it. Like, imagine going to a meeting with a millionaire while everyone's still like addicted to their phones, like scrolling 24/7, overstimulating their brain. Their dopamine is so fucking fried. You're actually there paying attention, and you absorb like 20 billion times more than everyone else. That's a pretty cool skill, I'm not gonna lie. Even if the school system is so fucking stupid and it's pointless to learn this shit. So yeah, and actually to do that, funny thing, you gotta start taking less notes.